2020 Democrats holding down the middle of the pack are fighting to climb, but they're each doing it their own way, addressing the concerns unique to their candidacies. That much was clear today for Senator Kamala Harris and Pete Buttigieg.
I've seen a number of your rallies. They are fairly homogenous, racially speaking at least. How do you plan to speak to African-American voters specifically?
Part of it is by laying out an agenda on the issues that black voters are asking me about most often. But a lot of it's also about a relationship. It takes a lot of work to make sure people get to know you.
So I will say that I think the voters are smarter than perhaps pundits sometimes give them credit for. I think voters are able to distinguish who can best do the job at this moment, and they are able to overlook who has traditionally done the job in favor of who should do the job.
Let's add to our conversation MSNBC's Garrett Haake from Waverly, Iowa. He's out traveling with the Beto O'Rourke campaign. Let me start with you, Garrett. Kamala Harris obviously having a moment, but making the right point, I think. Voters are smart enough to figure all this out. And we sometimes, I won't put you in this category because you're out on the trail getting a ground truth, but people in my chair, sometimes we look at the polls and we rush on the air with, here's some, that was voting for many months. And it would appear to me that all these candidates are trying to address their own weaknesses and sort of spread their own appeal among their sort of growing pockets of support. What are you seeing out there?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I'm struck by the number of people who are still shopping. You know, we go to these events and I'll see people at Beto O'Rourke events and they'll come to 3 or 4 of his events in a row. And it's not because they're super fans of Beto O'Rourke. It's because they really want to hear these candidates out. Now, this is May and this is Iowa, so you're dealing with a very involved group of voters, caucus goers here. But people are not making their decisions. It's part of the reason why I think the polling that we're seeing is going to be so fluid and so interesting. You know, people, I think the sense I get is that folks are kind of fighting the last war a little bit. There's a little bit of that feeling about Joe Biden, like, yes, this is a guy we could get behind if and when we need him, but we still want to go look at these other candidates. And so I think we've seen this a little bit also with the folks going up and down. Beto starting big and dropping off. Pete Buttigieg starting big and starting to drop off a little bit. People are getting their moments in the sun and getting a look. And what we're going to see, I think, over the next few months is how do you sustain that? How do you make the most of what you've got? So for Beto O'Rourke, it's doing 5 or 6 events on a work day in Iowa when his competitors are back in Washington. For Elizabeth Warren or Kamala Harris, it's trying to make a moment out of their day jobs in Washington. But they've got to find a way to stay in that conversation in the top, I think maybe like 6 or 7, because after that, I think there is a really big drop off where it's so hard to get purchase if you're at 1%. The same not quite super fans who are going shopping are not going to those events for the candidates who they don't think can get off the ground. They still want somebody who can beat Trump.
It's such an important point, Alexi, and we'll try to make it every day here. The voters, who will be the only people making this decision, not any of us, are shopping. And it's like you're buying a car and you don't even know if you want it to have 2 seats, 4 seats, or 6. Yes. I mean, they don't even know how many people they want to ride in the car. I mean, it is so early for the voters.
And that is not always fun for us reporters who are covering the 2020 election to be like, people still don't know what they want or who they want, and they're shopping, as we said. But part of my 2020 election coverage for Axios is doing monthly focus groups with Romney, Clinton, and Obama-Trump swing voters around the Midwest.
Let me think about that. Okay.
Yeah, Romney, Clinton.
Romney, and then they voted for Hillary.
Yep, and then Obama and Trump.
Okay, I talked to Obama and Trump voters. Tell me what they're looking for.
Well, a number of things. The overwhelming thing that I hear from these folks is that they are not excited by anyone running, and the name that comes up that they wish were running is Michelle Obama, which I just think is so
we'll get online. I mean, Michelle,
exactly.
Oprah is all of our dream ticket.
But something they talk about a lot is this idea of personalities, that they don't mind Trump's politics, but they don't like his personality. Or the Democrats who we poll them about who are running for president, they're not too hot on their personalities. They seem boring or monotone or like too ambitious or trying to solve every problem possible. They say that about Beto. And they're really looking at personalities more so than politics in a way that I think is a little bit surprising, maybe because they're swing voters. And I think, you are so decisive in these elections. I'm hoping that you're looking more into policy specifics rather than personalities. But it really is this overwhelming sense of there are so many people running. I don't know who to choose. I'm and listening to everyone. But also, I feel like things just aren't that normal, and they're really chaotic. And I want to get back to a sense of normalcy and stability. And whoever can make me feel that is who I'm going to gravitate toward in the beginning.
Within the party, there's a lot of enthusiasm for the 2020 election. There's a lot of, I think Democrats feel like they like their options. They're very happy with them. But the reality is they don't know who most of these folks are. They know Joe Biden because he was vice president. They know Bernie Sanders because of his previous campaign. But they don't know Pete Buttigieg. They don't know Elizabeth Warren. They don't know Kamala Harris. We talk about him like, everyone should know who they are. Most of them don't. So a lot of what these candidates are doing over the next, really up until Iowa is that sort of retail politicking where they have to lay out their vision and what they want to do with the country. Less about Donald Trump, more about them and their contrast with really, quite frankly, starting off with the other Democrats in the field. And I've been very impressed so far with Biden's rollout. I think he's done a good job. But Elizabeth Warren is also, I think, showing some surge recently, too. So it's going to be a really interesting contest.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.